Rastafari origins explained before dreadlocks, before reggae, before the colors red, gold, and green. There was a prophecy, a crown, and a people searching for their stolen identity. This is the true African story behind Rastafari. Rastafari is not a trend. It is not a hairstyle. It is not just music. Rastafari is memory, resistance, and African survival. Born from pain, forged in exile, rooted in ancient Africa. Today we go back to the beginning, to Jamaica, to Ethiopia, to the minds of African people who refuse to forget who they were. This is Rastafari Origins Explained, the trauma that created Rastafari. Rastafari did not appear in peace. It was born in captivity. After slavery was abolished, African people in Jamaica were still trapped. No land, no power, no identity. They were told Africa was savage, that their ancestors were cursed, that Europe was civilization. But the spirit of Africa did not die. It waited. In churches, African Jamaicans read the Bible, but through African eyes. They saw themselves not as sinners, but as Israelites in exile. Babylon became a symbol. Babylon was the system, colonial rule, mental slavery, and the people were searching for Zion, Ethiopia, the unconquered African symbol. While most of Africa was colonized, one land stood firm, Ethiopia, ancient, sovereign, never fully conquered. In the Bible, Ethiopia was mentioned before Europe. Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God. For African people in the Caribbean, Ethiopia was more than a country. It was proof that Africa had kings, civilization, divine favor. Ethiopia became Zion, the spiritual homeland. Marcus Garvey and the prophecy. Then came a voice that shook the black world. Marcus Garvey. Garvey preached African pride, self-reliance, liberation of the African mind. And then he spoke words that would echo forever. Look to Africa, where a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is near. This was not poetry. This was prophecy. People listened. They waited. The crowning of Haile Selassie was. In 1930, the world witnessed something colonial history never wanted Africans to see. A black king crowned in Africa, Haile Selassie I. His titles were ancient and powerful. King of kings, Lord of lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. For oppressed Africans in Jamaica, this was no coincidence. The prophecy had flesh. Zion had a king. Africa had risen. Rastafari was born. Rastafari is African spiritual resistance. Rastafari rejected the lies of colonial Christianity. They did not accept a white God ruling over a black world. They reclaimed African spirituality through biblical symbolism. They saw God as living within the people. Not distant, not foreign, but African. Rastafari was never about worshiping a man. It was about recognizing African divinity. Haile Selassie represented African sovereignty, not European permission. Dreadlocks, language, and cultural defiance. Every Rastafari symbol is resistance. Dreadlocks were not fashion. They were spiritual strength, like the Nazarites of old, a rejection of Babylon's standards. Language changed too. I and I. Not separation, unity. Food became natural. Living became conscious. Life became sacred again. This was decolonization of the mind. From Jamaica to the world, Rastafari spread through sound. Nyabinghi drums, chants, and later, reggae. Music carried truth where books were banned. Through rhythm, Africa spoke back to the world. Rastafari reminded African descendants everywhere. You are not lost. You are not cursed. You come from kings. Rastafari is African memory, refusing to die. It is the echo of Ethiopia in the Caribbean, the answer to slavery's lie, the reclaiming of African dignity. Not a trend, not a costume, but a living African philosophy. Rastafari says, Africa lives, Jah lives, and the people will rise again. If you felt this story in your spirit, if African history matters to you, if truth matters, Subscribe for African history, share this story, and keep Africa remembered. Because when Africa is remembered, Africa is never defeated.